Hello and welcome to this week's Rotherham Advertiser SportsChat Podcast. Joining me around the table is Miller's correspondent David Beddows.
Good day.
And news editor Michael Upton.
Good morning.
Gentlemen, it's been a turgid week for Rotherham United. Two games against teams against relegation rivals, and they've come away from it with no points, Dave.
Well, this is it. I mean, we were talking before these two matches that maybe a minimum of 4 points from the two. We've ended up with 0, which really is asking for trouble, isn't it? And as a result, we're back in the bottom 3. I mean, it just shows you this league. Rotherham conceded very, very late on at Bolton, undeservedly deserved a point, maybe even 3. And at the same time, Bristol City beat Charlton with a soft, sort of mucky penalty. And such is life. It's when it doesn't go for you, it doesn't go for you.
Michael, we were talking about the need for points out of these games, and whether they were unlucky or not, Rotherham have failed to get anything out of it, and only spurred on their relegation rivals in Charlton and Bolton that they can maybe get themselves out of it.
Well, I've said consistently this season that we've looked at potentially winnable games and said you never know in Rotherham because they're very capable of getting a result against the big boys and seem to fail when it comes to the bottom of the table teams. I hate to sound like Charlie Graves here, but I don't think you can call them unlucky. Rotherham had 2 very presentable chances to win that game and then were guilty in more than one way of conceding that sloppy late winner. The timing's unfortunate, but you've got to defend till the final whistle. I think also one thing we've seen this season is that Championship is very different from League One. League One, you get more chances if you miss them. This league, you've got to take your chances when they come, because if you're under the cosh, especially away from home, don't take your chances. There's always a chance of getting a sting in the tail.
Dave, the two men who Neil brought in to possibly take more chances, Leon Best and Luciano Becchio, both barely featured so far. Becchio being the latest to miss out on the matchday squad through injury, along with Stephen Kelly, another signing who's barely played. Have Rotherham gambled a little bit on these sort of out-of-contract players who are now looking like they're not going to be fully match fit before the season ends?
Yeah, well, a gamble, it either pays off or it doesn't, does it? And these were 3 players signed to help keep Rotherham up, and we've barely seen an hour or 2 from them, have we? Which is disappointing. But I mean, it's going to be 1, 2, 3 weeks before these guys are back, and then they've got to gain the side and get up to match fitness. So we've only 16 games left.
So you're looking at the last 10 games of the season or something like that when they could be up and firing, but that's taking into account that they don't get a recurrence or another little niggle like we've seen. Stephen Kelly coming back into the squad for one game and then having to go off at half time, and little bits and bobs like that is so unpredictable, isn't it, that you can't really rely on these players who've not been available for the last few months.
You can't. I mean, we were discussing beforehand about soft tissue injuries, and these are players who haven't been playing football regularly and a bit more vulnerable when they're suddenly, thrust into full-scale training and asked to get up to speed for match days in the Championship. So it is a gamble. I mean, it's going to be close, isn't it? It's going to be close. I think, we're going to go into this final week or even 2 weeks sweating over his future. It was the next to last game of last season, I think, when we finally got safe. And it's going to be the same again.
Michael, a lot of Rotherham fans on social media and on the internet, very, very doom and gloom feeling around the club at the minute because of these 2 defeats. What can Rotherham look to that maybe can perk them up a little bit, that gives them a fighting chance?
Well, I think we've been here before. At Christmas we would say the same thing, and then a couple of wins and everything's a bit more optimistic. Yeah. I said last week, the form of Chris Burke is fantastic. It's great to see he's popping up with another goal. While we're looking at Malade and Best and so on as failures, Burke's already been a big success for Neil Redfern, so he deserves a bit of credit there, I think.
And
so
David,
to get him in the side and get him playing well, consistently scoring. There are other players like Neil will perk people up a bit as well, but you've got to, when these chances come, you've got to take him. And Shinnie showed promise on Saturday, and then missed an absolute sitter.
Dave, I understand that Shinnie did look good on Saturday and could be a positive spark for Rotherham.
He did. I mean, he played again. I think Neil went with 1 forward, Danny Ward. Although Neil said when he gets Best and Becchio fit, he might try and play a 4-4-2. So in the moment, this is what we've got. We're playing 1 up front. Shinnie, even though Derbyshire and Clark Harris sat on the bench. True, but that's the route he's took into. He likes Danny Ward, but Shinnie did quite well, I thought, behind Danny Ward, and there were a lot of support, as Michael says, on the right from Burke, he's adding some real go forward in midfield, which we need. But Neil Redfern gets stick. It's not Neil's fault that Shinnie, as well as he played, missed 2 decent chances. The manager can't run on and stick him in for him, can he? So you've got to look at this balanced, haven't you? You've got to be looking at it.
And also it comes back to what we were saying last week. It's not about the strikers. You stay up with 1 and 2-0 wins. You don't stay up with 4-3 wins. It's all about keeping clean sheets, and they've proved themselves last 2 weeks incapable of defending against fairly straightforward situations.
Yeah, the way forward.
Most of the goals were disappointing on Saturday. Again.
Yeah, there were. I mean, but I think again, if that had been the last 5 minutes at Middlesbrough or Derby, Rotherham probably wouldn't have been pushing on like they were. They were going for the win.
But look at the
last 5 or 10
opening goal.
minutes.
You've got to set your stall out to coin a cliche and get a solid platform at the start of the game. Yeah, it was a great finish from Spearing, but it's a half-cleared corner again.
And it's 64 seconds in or whatever.
Yeah, it is.
It's a half-cleared set piece.
Is this a big problem for Rotherham United and Neil Redfern? The fact that they seem to switch off the last or first minute of each half. First minute, last minute of the first half. First minute of the second half, last minute of the match. There seems to be a lot of goals conceded around them key points for Rotherham United.
They do. I mean, fitness is not an issue. They're a fit set of lads, aren't they?
Well,
after
64 seconds, you'd hope so.
Yeah, I'm talking about ending.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is, isn't it? I mean, it changed the complexion of the afternoon. I mean, Bolton, you could see what it meant. It were a must win for them, wasn't it? Even more than us, if you like.
And they have won.
And they did start, they started strong. I mean, it's worth noting they had a disputed goal chalked off at 1-0 for offside, which, had it gone in, would have made it a real uphill battle for Miller. So, it's going to be a white knuckle ride, I'm afraid.
So where do they go from here, Dave? What do they do now? Because they've got Birmingham coming up, they've got Burnley coming up, they've got Reading coming up. The so-called easier teams of the division are out of the way now with no points on the board from them. What do Rotherham do now? Do they shut up shop and play for points and hitting teams on the break, or do they go for it? What does Neil do?
I don't think they dare go for it because there's so much ammunition in the teams they're playing. I mean, dull as it sounds, they've got to be organised, they've got to be switched on, they've got to just stay in matches till 70 minutes and see where it takes them. They've done that. They've beaten up. We've beaten Brighton, so they can do it, but they've just made it doubly hard for themselves because there's more pressure to get points from these next 3-4 games.
Michael, does the fact that they're back at the New York on Saturday play part?
Well, not necessarily, because form has been so inconsistent, home and away. If I were Neil Redfern, I'd ban the players to look at the league table, because they don't need to know the league position of the teams they're playing against. When they're playing bottom sides, they seem to struggle. Playing top sides seem to do quite well, but not so great against mid-table sides at all. I think you need to prepare for the individual opposition and say, ignore what's happening in the league, beat them over 90 minutes, because the psychology has got to be that you keep a clean sheet first and foremost. As Dave says, you stay in the game, and then he has got tricks up his sleeve on the bench, but with the players he picks, they've got to feel they've got the confidence of the manager and say, we've got a point to prove. It doesn't matter. Teams like Birmingham are massively inconsistent throughout the season. They've gone on a run here and there, but they've shown weakness.
Birmingham are 7th, 8th in the league.
Yeah, but they've shown weakness here and there. They've had bad runs as well, haven't they? So the chances of beating, I mean, the old like cup finals thing. The chances of beating a team over 90 minutes, it doesn't vary depending on their league position. You've still got a decent chance.
Dave, two players who Neil brought in on Saturday to try and help with that solid base, not concede. Fraser Richardson and Richard Wood, although Richard Wood played the game before as well. But both of them, how did they do? What were the reasoning behind that for you? Experience?
Well, it was experience, wasn't it? He pulled a young Shea Facey out who had a difficult in the week before and brought Richardson in. Richardson was solid, he always gives you a shift. There's not many ricks in him, it's fairly reliable, is Fraser Richardson. He did okay. I thought Wood were as good as anybody in the back line, and he made a couple of crucial blocks in the second half and could have scored with an overhead kick. Not last time I saw a centre half do that. So I thought it was a decent call from Neil Redfern, and I can see why. And if we'd have come out with a draw or a win, it'd have been a masterstroke.
Is there a shout for them then staying for Birmingham?
Possibly, certainly would.
You'd think though that now heading into the real business end, the home straight, all the cliches you can use, that it needs a settled back four. It's not been settled all season really, has it? With Buxton in and out, and Rawson in and out, and Belade coming in for a spell. It's not been settled all season. Now is the time, isn't it? When Lee Camp needs to know what's in front of him.
Well, that's it. I mean, had it not been for that late undeserved Bolton goal, I'm sure the back four would have picked himself for this weekend. So I'd be tempted to stick with it.
Right, gentlemen, we'll look forward to the Birmingham game then. A team who lost to Sheffield Wednesday. So let's do his predictions. Dave, what are we thinking for Birmingham coming to the New York on Saturday?
I think we have enough about us to stop this mini rot. I'll go for a 1-1.
Michael?
Well, given that they rip up the any kind of predictions that we make any time, I'm going to be optimistic and say this is the time when Rotherham let the keeper clean sheet and we get a Danny Ward winner. It's going to be a 1-0 win.
So there you go. You've got David Beddows saying 1-1, and you've got Michael Upton saying Danny Ward goal is going to seal a 1-0 victory against Birmingham at the New York Stadium. If you disagree, agree, whatever, let us know by tweeting us at RothTiserSport. Thank you for signing up to the match and listening to the podcast. We'll be back next week. Make sure you pick up your Rotherham Advertiser on Friday for all the preview to the Birmingham game and all the reaction from the Bolton Wanderers game as well. Thank you very much for listening.